While Marines practice an emergency evacuation of Americans from Haiti, the Pentagon is planning to create and train a multinational intervention force based around a U.S. Army infantry division.
Fire when ready!
So far, only Argentina has committed itself to contributing troops, and other Latin American countries remain opposed to intervention.
There is no consensus in our region as to this resolution. This was quite clear when we discussed this.
Reacting to the UN resolution giving the U.S. a blank check to oust Haiti's military rulers, the country's puppet president today declared a state of siege.
I think that it's an increasing sign of their own nervousness, understanding that the noose is tightening around them.
But Pentagon officials say Haiti's military rulers seem keenly aware that formation of a credible multinational force is still weeks away, and keenly aware that polls show most Americans oppose an invasion. Not to mention the Democratic chairman of both armed services committees in Congress, as well as the Republican leader.
There is no emergency in Haiti requiring the dispatch of American troops. It is not Grenada or Panama where a quick response was needed.
The Haitian military also has begun taking rudders and sails off boats in order to prevent them from putting to sea. The flow of refugees has slowed to a trickle, removing one of the principal pressures on President Clinton to act quickly. U.S. officials hope the mere existence of a multinational force will convince Haiti's rulers to leave peacefully. But even if the military does go quietly, the multinational force would be sent in to maintain order. Either way, U.S. combat troops would end up in Haiti. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Still ahead on the CBS Evening News, the Whitewater hearings. Treasury's top lawyer breaks months of silence.
And Eye on America, a mysterious death, and 40 years later, a new search for answers.
Frank said he'd really like to take a relaxing vacation this year. I've got just the place.
If they could see you now out on a fun ship cruise, you're eating fancy food and doing what you choose. I'd like your friends back home to get a good look.
I ask you, does Frank look relaxed or what? Take a 3-, 4-, or 7-day vacation on Carnival, the most popular cruise line in the world. Honey, I just booked another week.
Great.
Miss Barclay!
Conrad.
Room 801.
Once they were in love with butter, but cholesterol closed the door on their dreams until...
William.
May I serve you?
I can't believe it's not butter.
I Can't Believe It's Not Butter is the first spread flavored with real sweet cream buttermilk for a fresh butter taste, but without the cholesterol.
Now nothing can disturb our love.
I Can't Believe It's Not Butter, the taste you love without the cholesterol.
The winds died down a little today in Washington state, giving exhausted firefighters a temporary breather. And 500 U.S. Marines are about to give them some badly needed relief. The Marines put in some final training today before joining the battle against a 90,000-acre wildfire near Chelan.
In a second day of Whitewater hearings, the Senate Banking Committee heard details about Treasury Department contacts with the White House. And for the first time, a key go-between, Treasury General Counsel Jean Hansen, publicly defended her actions. Chief Washington correspondent Bob Schieffer has the story.
I'm going to ask you to stand and raise your right hand.
The panel was told today that even though regulators at the Resolution Trust Corporation urged them not to, Treasury officials briefed the White House on a confidential investigation into an Arkansas savings and loan owned by the Clintons' business partner.
Isn't it very important to the RTC to keep this kind of information very confidential within RTC?
I think it is, yes, sir. It is a responsibility.
And why is it important?
It is important because information that concerning such matters could compromise the RTC's ability to bring a case.
The hearings are drawing a broad array of spectators. Comedian Jackie Mason showed up today to gather material for his act. But the audience heard a serious story from the regulators. They said they rebuffed the Bush administration when it tried to get information about Whitewater during the '92 campaign and disputed this administration's claim that it was normal practice to pass on such reports.
This was an all-time first to notify the White House.
As far as I know, yes, sir.
Treasury Department lawyer Jean Hansen confirmed she did brief White House officials on the case, but only, she said, to help them deal with press leaks.
I know that these conversations violated no law, no rule, and no ethical standard. I also know that they were appropriate.
But time and again, the regulators said handling of the case was anything but routine. At one point, they said Treasury official Roger Altman even tried to get the Clintons' personal lawyer a briefing on the government's case, a request one regulator called disgusting.
Henson repeated under oath that she had briefed the White House at Altman's request. He doesn't quite remember it that way and will give his side to the committee tomorrow. Dan?
Bob Schieffer.
A late blow today for the unsuccessful 1992 Bush Quayle campaign. The Federal Election Commission ruled the campaign was responsible for a banner reading "No Draft Dodger for President," and it fined the campaign $10,000 for failing to report its cost. A plane flew the banner over 2 Bill Clinton campaign appearances in South Carolina.
Coming up next on the CBS Evening News. New damaging information in the O.J. Simpson case, and what happened to Simpson's Ford Bronco after it was impounded by the Los Angeles police.
Timely news for asthma sufferers. You should know Primatene Mist starts to open clogged breathing passages in as fast as 15 seconds. So for asthma relief that starts in as fast as 15 seconds, trust Primatene Mist.
When I get gas, I may look like this, but I feel like this, painfully bloated.
GasX has the most powerful medicine to fight gas faster than antacids.
So I feel like me again.
Painful gas needs the power of GasX.
Now, at the Olive Garden, come try our new capellini and chicken Siciliano meal for only $7.95. Baskets of fresh baked breadsticks, unlimited garden fresh salad, and our new mouth-watering capellini pomodoro with fresh Roma tomatoes, extra virgin olive oil, and fresh basil, plus our new zesty grilled chicken Siciliano. Freshissimo! All this for a short time only for just $7.95.
Right now!
Only at the Olive Garden.
Fruit and Fiber has a great new taste, and we just can't keep it under wraps.
I got a great new taste.
Now with crispy multigrain flakes.
I got a great new taste.
More raisins, more walnuts, more dates.
Got a lot of great new taste.
And oat clusters with a touch of brown sugar.
Oh yeah, I got a great new taste.
A new taste so delicious, it shows. The new Post Fruit and Fiber cereal. It's fruit and fiber.
And a great new taste.
Ever heard the joke, when the going gets tough, the tough go shopping? Well, that's exactly what these cancer patients are doing.
It's not a shop till you drop philosophy. It has meaning, and it is symbolic of whatever the struggles are going on.
But it's not just the stuff, it's much more than that. Retail Therapy on Eye on America tomorrow on the CBS Evening News.
7 weeks from today, lawyers on both sides of the O.J. Simpson case are scheduled to be at trial. In the meantime, they're fighting a public relations battle with an eye toward future jurors. Today, the defense was dealing in damage control, trying to set straight damaging new information about Simpson, while at the same time raising new questions about the performance of the Los Angeles Police Department. Correspondent Bill Whitaker has our report.
After weekend coverage of incriminating grand jury testimony, O.J. Simpson's attorneys today worked damage control.
We have our opportunity to tell our story, and we haven't done that yet, and we will in court.
The transcript reveals a chilling picture of Simpson. Witness Jill Shively testified that she saw him in his white Bronco near Nicole Simpson's house around the time of the murders, driving, quote, like a maniac. But she probably won't testify at trial because she apparently lied about selling her story to tabloid TV. But most shocking, testimony from Keith Zlomsowicz, a pallbearer at Nicole's funeral. He dated her during her separation from Simpson and says Simpson virtually stalked them. On their first date at a Beverly Hills restaurant, Zlomsowicz told grand jurors Simpson strode over and said in a threatening voice, "I'm O.J. Simpson, and she's still my wife." At another restaurant, he says Simpson sat nearby and glared at them. Zlomsowicz testified, "I was scared, I was shaken." Then, the day after an intimate evening at Nicole's house, Zlomsowicz said Simpson walked in on them saying, "I watched you last night. I can't believe you would do that in the house. I watched you." The testimony is dramatic, but may never come out in trial.
We may not hear all the testimony from Nicole's prior boyfriend if the judge finds that, in fact, it's too inflammatory, too prejudicial, and doesn't have enough to add to this trial.
Simpson's huge, high-powered defense team now is trying to poke holes all over prosecution evidence, raising reasonable doubts wherever it can.
We will show that improper procedures were followed from the very beginning of this investigation.
For instance, a source close to the defense tells CBS News Simpson's Bronco was rifled through while still in police custody at this lot. Tow truck driver John Mraz was fired for allegedly stealing 2 credit card receipts with O.J. and Nicole Simpson's signatures, a charge he denies.
I didn't take the papers. A lot of things disappear there, and yet nothing's done.
That, says the defense, is the problem. That crucial evidence has been mishandled. But police say while they're still holding the Bronco for evidence, they had already gotten what they needed from it before the receipts disappeared. Meanwhile, CBS News has learned that defense attorney Edie Fall, who represented Damian Williams in the Denny beating case, has been approached to join the defense team. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Also in Los Angeles today, confirmation of a contender for Wedding of the Year. Lisa Marie Presley, Elvis's daughter, says she and Michael Jackson are married. They exchanged vows 11 weeks ago outside the country. Mrs. Presley Jackson says the couple looks forward to raising a family.
In news about the U.S. economy, the government says the income of Americans is not growing as rapidly as it has been, up just 0.1% for the month of June. Consumer spending rose 4 times that amount, much of the money going to air conditioners. It was a hot day on Wall Street. The Dow Industrial soared more than 33 points.
Get heartburn. You take Maalox. Life is good.
And don't forget great tasting Maalox tablets, too. The minute you come home from work, everybody asks you to find everything, right, Mom?
Mom, where's my sneaker? Where's my daddy?
And you wish there were more of you to do it. Whirlpool understands and makes refrigerators that can help. Our Easy View system has upfront lighting, see-through bins, and a unique sliding shelf so everything fits easily. So with this Whirlpool, everybody finds what they need and the one of you finds time to relax. Because together, you and Whirlpool know how to make a home run.
Frankly, I am concerned about this national health plan. There is an obvious oversight. Me. So, write Congress and demand Whiskas Original Crave Recipe. It gives your scruffy furballs 100% of the nutrition they need and the chicken, tuna, and milk protein they love. So, they stay healthy and I stay alive.
Cats love new Whiskas Original Crave Recipe. Cats would buy Whiskas.
Isn't democracy beautiful?
At this year's World Cup, every match was big news. That's why the World Cup Committee turned to Sprint's global network. So reporters at the games could instantly access information and send it to fans in 143 countries around the world, just as they saw it.
A penalty! I can't believe it. It's a deplorable decision.
Of course, how they saw it is another story.
These 2 brothers had no one to protect them from the abuse. Did they have to kill their father to save themselves? 48 Hours, Wednesday.
The U.S. Senate voted today to cut off federal funds to any school district that teaches acceptance of homosexuality. The amendment to an education bill was proposed by Senator Jesse Helms of North Carolina. He said he wants to get rid of what he considers to be obscene material in public schools, such as textbooks that show homosexual lifestyles in a positive light.
President Clinton hit the road with his health security bus caravan today. He called on Congress to act now to provide Americans with universal health care. Still, at this point, it is not clear what the president will get from Congress or even what he wants. White House correspondent Rita Braver reports.
President Clinton took his health care cavalcade to New Jersey today and got so fired up questioning why some people oppose making health care available to all Americans that he knocked the presidential seal right off the podium.
I have given you my answer. Let's ask the American people to give health insurance to everybody.
And in true campaign style, he took on critics who call his plan socialized medicine.
You want to repeal Medicare, ma'am? Do you think that's socialized medicine? I don't.
But while the president was talking about the urgent need for requiring coverage for all Americans, one of his biggest allies, the Senate Majority Leader, was putting the touches on a far more modest proposal, one that would not mandate full coverage till at least the next century. And Mitchell now says the real objective should be reversing the decline in the number of Americans who have health insurance.
I think it will be a huge and spectacular success. And I think this whole discussion about is this good enough, isn't that good enough, I think will be seen for what it is, irrelevant.
But some political experts say the president's campaign-style tactics are not helping him and are confusing the voters.
The Clinton plan, so-called, has not been the principal plan on Capitol Hill for some time. So exactly what is it that he's out there getting these buses rolling for? What's he campaigning for?
Some White House aides acknowledge they've been sending confusing messages to the public. But they say at this point, the president just wants to keep talking about health care to keep the pressure on Congress to come up with a bill. Rita Braver, CBS News at the White House.
The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has approved health and safety testing of a new kind of breast implant. It's made with soybean oil. It's intended to replace the silicone gel implants that were banned in 1991 after thousands of women claimed that leaking silicone made them sick. The test will take place at 5 U.S. hospitals involving 50 women. Dan?
Connie, coming up next, Eye on America. The mysterious death of a government scientist. Was it suicide or homicide?
Is the gray in your mustache or beard making you look too old? Now there's Just for Men brush-in color gel, specially for the hard-to-color hair of mustaches and beards. This brush-in gel stays put to penetrate hard-to-color hair. In 5 minutes, rinse. Your mustache or beard blends with your natural hair color, and it won't fade or wash out.
Now that's a lot better.
Just for Men color gel from the leader in men's hair coloring.
3 years ago, Consumers Digest named the Oldsmobile 88 a Best Buy. The next year, they did it again. Ditto last year. And at the risk of sounding repetitive, that's right. Which makes Oldsmobile 88 the only full-size automobile to be a Best Buy 4 years running. It's your money.
Where's the pharmacy?
Okay. You go around motor oil, left at lingerie, around the...
Why go through all this to get low prices on healthcare products? Just go to your neighborhood medicine shop pharmacy. With nearly 1,000 stores nationwide, we have the same buying power as the big chains, so you'll always get a low price and personal service. The medicine shop, what a pharmacy was meant to be.
Save money on non-prescription products this month and join the Medicine Shop Pharmacy in raising funds for my kids.
My basic love of dogs and my experience breeding dogs makes me enjoy my career as a veterinarian even more.
David Qualls, top breeder of champion Siberian Huskies and doctor of veterinary medicine.
We give our dogs pedigree as a source of meat in their diet. When you open a can of Choice Cuts, there's big meaty chunks and a rich brown gravy. You can really smell the meatiness. Pedigree contains no soy. Pedigree is a very digestible and very nutritious dog food. For my money, Pedigree is the best dog food you can buy.
Pedigree, developed with vets, recommended by top breeders.
Our final story begins back in the mid-1950s. A U.S. government scientist named Frank Olson is drugged, without his knowledge, by the Central Intelligence Agency. His behavior changes radically, and before long, he dies under suspicious circumstances. Now, decades later, Olson's family is still trying to prove that he was murdered by the CIA. Correspondent Anthony Mason follows the trail of intrigue and deception in tonight's Eye on America.
"13 stories from this window in a New York City hotel to the pavement of 7th Avenue. Frank Olson fell 13 stories that night in November 1953, and the night manager still remembers the face of the man he found on the street.
And he's looking at me, eyes wide open, staring straight at me.
trying to tell me something.
For Armand Pastore, the death of Dr. Frank Olson, a top biochemist and germ warfare researcher for the U.S. Army, was always suspicious. The medical examiner ruled it a routine suicide, but Frank Olson's son, Eric, always felt there was another story.
My personal feeling is that our father was murdered.
This summer, more than 40 years later, Dr. Olson's body has been exhumed from a Maryland cemetery. And at his son's request, a team of forensic scientists has begun an extensive autopsy.
This is the top of the head of Dr. Frank Olson.
Professor James Stars is analyzing the bone fractures.
We have to try to make a determination as to whether there might be some criminality.
Facts have been hidden from Frank Olson's family before. Not until 1975 did they learn that 9 days before his death, Olson, without his consent, had been drugged in a CIA experiment, given a liqueur laced with LSD. He reacted badly and was brought to New York to see a CIA-approved psychiatrist.
Room 1018A of what was then the Hotel Statler was Dr. Olson's room the night he died. He was not alone. A CIA escort named Robert Lashbrook was here in the room with him. Lashbrook told police then he was asleep when the sounds of breaking glass and a flapping window shade awakened him. From the window, he saw the body below on the street. But Lashbrook never went down to look at Dr. Olson, and the hotel operator told the night manager he placed just one phone call.
And the man in the room said, well, he's gone. And a little hesitation, and the man on the other end said, well, that's too bad. And they both hung up.
The man in the room that night, retired CIA officer Robert Lashbrook, now lives in California. He declined to be interviewed. Could the CIA have wanted to kill Frank Olson?
Once they had drugged him, made him unstable on the one hand and also angry, what in fact were they going to do? I mean, he was privy to some of the most top secret work being done in bacteriological warfare.
Dr. Olson's body was well preserved, but the forensic team was startled to find no trace of the severe lacerations cited on the medical examiner's report. Cuts you'd expect to find on a body which supposedly broke through a glass window.
So what the medical examiner said he found in 1953, you say is not there?
He was wrong. He's absolutely wrong.
More than 40 years later, a son is still haunted by his father's death, and a retired hotel manager is still haunted by a man's face.
And Frank Olson was telling me something with those eyes. I only wish I knew what it was.
Maybe science will finally be able to speak for Frank Olson. In New York, I'm Anthony Mason for Eye on America.
And that's our news. Coming up tomorrow on CBS This Morning, how much nicotine does it take to keep a smoker addicted? Some surprising answers first thing in the morning.
And Connie and I will see you again tomorrow night. Thanks for choosing CBS News. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
CBS News.